Well, it's official. The Clippers are locked into the 5th seed. But, of course, the question you definitely ask in your mind is, what does this mean for the Clippers being locked in the 5th seed? Well, of course, they have to play the Phoenix Suns. And that's going to be a tough challenge for the Clippers. It really is. But before all that, please subscribe if you haven't already. But either way, this is going to be a tough challenge for the Clippers because they're going to have to match up with this team, with all their firepower. And of course, Kawhi Leonard is a juggernaut himself, but it's going to take everything he has to pretty much help the Clippers win. And actually, he kind of somewhat said that, after his post game, after they beat the Suns, yesterday in the game, even though the starters didn't play, the Suns gave them every bit they can handle, you know what I'm saying? And of course, I give the Clippers credit. They were coming off a back-to-back, from the night before. And it's tough, it is. But, Kawhi was just being the monster he was, 25, 14, and 6. I mean, that's just like monster numbers, man. I don't even know what to say. But I mean, we used to Kawhi doing stuff like that. And Norman Powell definitely stepped in, and Russ, shout out to Russ, stepping in, playing his role as well. But the Clippers going to have a lot to come back to Phoenix and win, because it's just going to be overwhelmingly tough. But I mean, I will say this: if any one guy can knock down a dynasty as a dynasty killer, it's definitely Kawhi Leonard. Now, giving him a week off full of rest, that definitely bodes well in the Clippers' favor, because they get a little bit of rest. They don't have to worry about being in a play-in tournament where they're trying to figure out what they can do to, try to, pull out a tough win and try to get into the actual playoffs itself. So they don't have to worry about that. They can actually sit home and rest for a week, which is definitely needed for Kawhi, because, I felt like, these last couple of games, Kawhi was just looking a little tired, or, maybe just trying to preserve himself for the playoffs and everything, instead of, trying to ramp it up too much. It could be either one, but, you definitely don't want to put too much pressure on your superstar if you don't have to. And, I'm glad the Clippers found a way to come through and win these last couple games, because they definitely needed it. They definitely, left the NBA season here, with a 2 or 3 game winning streak, which is definitely good. You want to have momentum going into the playoffs, and right now, technically, they do. So I like what the Clippers are able to do, switch and everything, of course, with their defense, and they're going to need all the switching they can. And I think all hands on deck is what Ty Lue should be preaching to this team, because anybody that comes to the game is going to need to make an impact. That's just the way it's going to have to be if they're going to face the Phoenix Suns. You're going to have to come in the game and make an impact, all the way from Kawhi Leonard all the way to the last man on the bench. It doesn't matter who it is. I mean, you're going to have to come in there and you're going to have to make an impact. That's just the way it is, because this team, the Phoenix Suns, I mean, Kevin Durant's a monster all on its own. Him and Kawhi are going to factor each other out in this series. But you have to ask yourself, who else is going to show up? Because we don't know whether Paul George is coming back anytime soon, or who knows, hopefully, he comes back sooner than later. But, there's always a chance where, he might not come back for a while, and they have to possibly make it to the second round, maybe before they see Paul George again. You hope that's not the case, but there is a possibility for that. You never want to rule things like that out. So shout out to him. Hopefully he gets recovered pretty fast. But, Kawhi is playing good right now, and I think the Clippers have a shot, to win it. And I think, the lack of continuity by the Phoenix Suns, because they only had 8 games with Kevin Durant. They haven't had 30 or 40 or, most of the season. You see what I'm saying? So that might actually play into the Clippers' favor, in my opinion. And, then you got to look at, too, Norman Powell and certain guys on the Clippers, been in the league a while. They're veterans. They're experienced as well as some of the guys on, the Phoenix Suns. And, the fact that Chris Paul is not who he once was, that kind of gives the Clippers the advantage because of the defense that they have. They can switch a lot. I mean, even if you have to, you can put somebody like Terrence Mann at times on Chris Paul and limit almost everything he's doing, because the only thing he's really going to try to do is penetrate to that one spot in the 17-foot area where he likes to get at and dish it off to KD, or, I don't know, maybe dish it out to Ayton as well. But you have to kind of be prepared for that. But the Clippers definitely have enough defense to counteract that. And the Clippers, the one thing about what I will say about the Clippers that I do like in this matchup going up against the Phoenix Suns, the Clippers' depth is definitely something, is definitely their key to winning this series. It's not really just actually Kawhi Leonard. The fact that their depth is so good, that can definitely overwhelm the Phoenix Suns. That could put the Clippers in better position to win. And that's what they're going to need to win this series. It's not going to be Kawhi scoring 45, 50 points almost every game in the series that's going to help them win. And that's not going to help them win. What's going to help them win is, like I said, their depth showing its face. And they're going to have to bring it up. They're going to have to bring it every single game. They can't lack. Their bench every game is going to have, I'm going to say, at least 35 points coming off, 30 to 35 points coming off the bench. They're going to at least have to have that much coming off the bench. Now, I would go up and say 45, 50, because I know their bench is capable of doing that. But, you know what I'm saying, that might be a stretch asking it from them, going into a series like this. Who knows? But they're going to at least have to have 30, 35 points off their bench, at least that every single game in the series, because Kawhi is going to have some big games, I believe, where they might not be asked to do so much, because I think Kawhi can have a big enough game to where, the Clippers would just win off of his performance. So Kawhi is good enough, of course, to may have a performance in Phoenix to where they can steal a game. They're definitely good enough. I mean, Kawhi is definitely good enough to have one of those type games. And honestly, it could be game one where he dropped big numbers. So, Phoenix has to look out for that. They're not that great defensively. They're okay defensively, but, Kevin Durant definitely adds to them, being the juggernaut team that they are. But I'm not definitely counting the Clippers out, and I hope nobody else does, because the Clippers have just good as chance winning as the Phoenix Suns do in that series. And I know a lot of people are going to probably count the Clippers out and say they don't have a chance, or, it might be a gentleman's sweep, which, anything is possible. I'm not ruling anything out, but I will say this. I'll be surprised if it's any type of gentleman's sweep or anything of that nature, because the Clippers are a very good team defensively, and Ty Lue will have these guys ready. And most of all, Kawhi Leonard will be lock and load ready. And see, when you're playing a playoff Kawhi Leonard, we all know who that is. That's just a different animal. So what they saw on yesterday, him getting 25 and 14 rebounds, well, he might have a game where he have 35 and 13 rebounds with 5 assists and 3 steals, you know what I'm saying, and 1 or 2 blocks. You see what I'm saying? So he might have a game like that. Now, KD might counteract that with 35-point performance itself. This is the reason why I said the Clippers' depth, their bench, is going to be the factor, is going to be the key factor in winning this series, especially, if there's a possibility they might play without Paul George.